There is a molecule in your brain that makes you check your phone 96 times a day. It is the same molecule that makes a gambler put his last dollar into a slot machine. The same one that makes you open the refrigerator when you are not hungry, scroll social media when you said you would stop, and feel a strange emptiness after getting the very thing you worked months to achieve. It is not serotonin. It is not adrenaline. It is dopamine. And here is what almost everyone gets wrong about it. Dopamine is not the molecule of pleasure. It is the molecule of wanting. And that distinction between wanting and liking is the key to understanding why modern life feels like a trap you built for yourself. In the 1980s, neuroscientist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan conducted a series of experiments that overturned decades of assumptions about dopamine. He gave rats a drug that destroyed their dopamine neurons. According to the prevailing theory, these rats should have stopped experiencing pleasure. They did not. When sugar was placed directly on their tongues, the rats still showed the classic facial expression of enjoyment, the same lip-licking, tongue protrusion response seen in human infants tasting something sweet, but they would not go get the sugar. They would not walk across the cage to eat it. They would not press a lever to obtain it. They still liked the reward. They had simply lost the drive to pursue it. Berridge's conclusion, published across multiple landmark papers and formalized in a comprehensive 2015 review in Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews, was revolutionary. Dopamine does not create the experience of pleasure. It creates the motivation to seek it. It is the molecule of wanting, of anticipation, craving, and pursuit. This is why you can eat an entire bag of chips and feel no real satisfaction. This is why you can scroll for 2 hours and feel worse than when you started. This is why you can achieve a goal you spent years pursuing and feel strangely hollow the moment you arrive. Your dopamine system got what it wanted, the pursuit. But the pleasure system, which depends on opioid and endocannabinoid circuits, was never the point. Dopamine got you to the refrigerator, the slot machine, the finish line. Whether you enjoyed being there was never its concern. The takeaway: the next time you feel a compulsive urge to do something, recognize what is happening. Your dopamine system is issuing a want signal. It is not a need signal, and the satisfaction it promises is, by design, temporary. Dopamine's power becomes even clearer when you understand what neuroscientists call the reward prediction error. In the late 1990s, Wolfram Schultz at the University of Cambridge made a discovery that earned him the Brain Prize. He recorded the activity of individual dopamine neurons in monkeys and found something unexpected. When a monkey received an unexpected reward, a drop of juice it did not predict, dopamine neurons fired intensely. But when the monkey learned to expect the reward at a specific time, dopamine firing shifted. It no longer spiked at the reward itself. It spiked at the cue that predicted the reward, the light, the sound, the signal. And when the expected reward did not arrive, when the juice was withheld, dopamine dropped below baseline. The monkey experienced what felt like a loss, even though it had not actually lost anything. It had simply failed to gain something it expected. A 2018 study in Nature Neuroscience confirmed that this prediction error system operates identically in humans using fMRI. The ventral striatum, the brain's reward prediction center, responds not to rewards themselves, but to the difference between what was expected and what was received. This is the engine of addiction. Social media notifications are unpredictable rewards. Sometimes your post gets 5 likes, sometimes 500. That unpredictability maximizes dopamine release. Gambling is pure prediction error. The near miss on a slot machine produces more dopamine than a small win because the brain encoded a prediction of winning and then experienced a violation. Sugar-laden foods deliver faster than expected reward signals that override the brain's natural calibration. The practical insight: anything in your life that delivers unpredictable, variable rewards is hijacking your dopamine prediction error system. Social media, email, dating apps, news feeds, gambling, they all exploit the same neural circuit. The first step to freedom is recognizing the mechanism. Your dopamine system evolved to solve a specific problem. In a world of scarcity, motivate the organism to seek food, water, shelter, mates, and social connection. The system worked beautifully for hundreds of thousands of years because rewards were rare, effortful, and unpredictable. Then we built a civilization that delivers superstimuli, rewards more intense, more frequent, and more effortless than anything the brain evolved to handle. A 2021 study published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health measured the dopamine-related behavioral patterns of smartphone users and found that the average person touches their phone over 2,600 times per day, with the top 10% exceeding 5,400 touches. Each touch is a micro-seeking behavior, a tiny dopamine-driven impulse to check for new information. The architecture of social media is not accidental. Former Facebook VP of Growth Chamath Palihapitiya publicly stated in 2017 that the platform was designed to exploit a vulnerability in human psychology. The variable ratio reinforcement schedule, the same pattern that makes slot machines addictive, is embedded in every notification system, every like counter, every notification system, every like counter. Processed food operates on the same circuit. A 2019 study in cell metabolism by researchers at the National Institutes of Health found that ultra-processed foods cause participants to eat an average of 508 more calories per day compared to unprocessed foods, even when the meals were matched for macronutrients, fiber, sugar, and salt. The brain's reward system responds to processed food as a superstimulus, overriding normal satiety signals. A 2022 review in neuropsychopharmacology mapped the neural overlap between behavioral addictions, social media, gambling, gaming, pornography, and substance addictions. The overlap was extensive. The same dopaminergic pathways, the same pattern of tolerance and escalation, the same withdrawal symptoms. The delivery mechanism differs. The neuroscience is functionally identical. The takeaway: you are not weak for feeling pulled toward these things. You are running ancient hardware in a modern environment that was specifically engineered to exploit it. In 2019, the concept of dopamine fasting exploded in Silicon Valley. The idea, by abstaining from all pleasurable stimuli, social media, food, music, conversation, even eye contact, you could reset your dopamine receptors and regain control of your reward system. The neuroscience community was skeptical, and rightfully so. You cannot literally fast from dopamine. Dopamine is involved in movement, motivation, attention, and basic cognitive function. If your dopamine levels actually dropped to zero, you would be catatonic, not enlightened. However, and this is the important nuance, the core intuition behind dopamine fasting is partially supported by research. A 2016 study in biological psychiatry demonstrated that chronic overstimulation of the dopamine system leads to receptor downregulation. The brain reduces the number and sensitivity of dopamine receptors to compensate for excessive stimulation. This is tolerance. The same mechanism that makes a drug addict need higher doses to feel the same effect makes a social media user need more scrolling to feel the same engagement, and receptor downregulation is reversible. A 2020 study in neuropsychopharmacology showed that periods of reduced stimulation allowed dopamine receptor density to recover, not overnight, but over weeks. Dr. Anna Lemke, psychiatrist at Stanford and author of Dopamine Nation, has formalized this into a clinical framework. Her recommendation, based on clinical evidence, a 30-day abstinence period from your primary source of compulsive stimulation, followed by structured, intentional re-engagement. The practical insight: you do not need to fast from all pleasure, but identifying your primary dopamine trap, the one thing you reach for compulsively, automatically, without deciding to, and stepping away from it for 4 weeks will produce measurable changes in how your brain responds to ordinary rewards. Colors seem brighter, food tastes better, conversations become more engaging. Not because the world changed, but because your receptor sensitivity recovered. So how do you actually take back control of your dopamine system without becoming a monk? First, introduce delay. The dopamine system is most powerfully activated by immediate, effortless reward. A 2017 study in psychological science found that people who practiced delaying gratification, even in small, trivial ways, showed reduced impulsive behavior across unrelated domains. Making yourself wait 10 minutes before checking your phone after waking up is not willpower theater. It is neural retraining. Second, pursue effort-based rewards. Exercise, learning a musical instrument, building something with your hands, engaging in deep conversation. These activities produce dopamine through the natural cycle of effort, struggle, and achievement. A 2021 meta-analysis in neuroscience and biobehavioral reviews confirmed that regular physical exercise upregulates dopamine receptor expression, meaning exercise does not just feel good in the moment. It literally makes your brain more capable of experiencing reward in the future. Third, reduce variable reward exposure. Turn off notifications. Use website blockers during work hours. Delete apps that you open compulsively. A 2020 study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that participants who removed social media apps from their phones for 1 week reported significantly higher well-being, lower anxiety, and reduced compulsive checking behavior, effects that persisted even after they reinstalled the apps. Fourth, practice boredom. This sounds absurd. But boredom is the brain's signal that the dopamine system has recalibrated to baseline. It is the neurological equivalent of an empty stomach, uncomfortable, but a sign that your appetite is working correctly. A 2014 study in Creativity Research Journal found that participants who were allowed to experience boredom before a creative task produced significantly more creative solutions. Boredom is not a problem to be solved, it is a state to be leveraged. The deepest truth about dopamine is this: the system was built for connection, for seeking food with your tribe, for pursuing a mate, for exploring new territory with allies, for building something together. Every modern dopamine trap is a counterfeit version of connection, a like instead of a conversation, a notification instead of a touch, a scroll instead of a walk. The drug is real. The addiction is real. But the antidote is not deprivation. The antidote is returning to the rewards your brain was actually designed for: slow, effortful, earned, and shared with other human beings. You are already addicted to the most powerful drug in the world. You have been since before you were born. The question is not whether dopamine will drive your behavior. It will. The question is whether you will choose what it drives you toward, or let an algorithm choose for you. That is the human code, and the password is yours to change,